Okay, so another machine is this very nice stylish case. I personally is one of my favorite ones because of the case design. It's very nice metal look at the bottom plate. It is also slightly plastic fantastic, but the case with the front USB, even a front headphone. If you're going to have like a very cool like let's say screen setup, you can put this thing under your monitor and just use this thing. It's very functional. But it comes with an, let's say an i9, but also it comes with more powerful GPU. But let's take a close look at some Windows game because there we're having some amazing overall performance. On the picture this thing doesn't look that great, but in real life, man, this thing is heavy and it looks great. So when it comes to the connectivity and the ports, let's talk about that first. At the front we're going to get ourselves a very nice clean look. But with the clean look we do have ourselves a headphone jack at the front, then the on-off switch and two USB 2.0 ports. With the connection at the back, there we're going to get a lot of options. So first of all, we're going to get ourselves here the input for the power supply, then an RJ45 Ethernet, 4 USB ports that are 3.0, 2 normal HDMI connections, and Type-C in display port, and here at the end we're even going to get ourselves another 2 2.0 USB ports. Okay, it's time for the specifications. The Intel Core i9, the 10th generation, also known as the Comet Lake, with a max TDP of 45 watts will be inside of the machine. Next up, the mainboard. There's not a lot of information about it, who made it or whatsoever, just says and it comes with a PCI Express 3.0 bus connection. Memory wise, here we're having the DDR4 60GB dual channel. More information about it is actually the DDR4 3200, and this device seems to be having an option for 4 slots, where 2 of them have been filled, and it runs at 600 MHz. When it comes to the GPU, we're having the RTX2060. I can still remember that I had this back in the day in one of those laptops. Also, this comes from the Lenovo manufacturer and 6GB storage that is made by Samsung. And that's actually what we're having when it comes to the specs. So as a huge fan of indie games, this is no problem whatsoever, and absolutely the mini PC combination with the powerful i9 and the RTX card, we can run all of the indie games without any problem whatsoever. I love myself some racing games, also the weird ones, the older ones, but the older ones can be put to the highest setting, 1080p, every setting set to the maximum is absolutely great. And some of the games look really astonishing on this. Starting off with some Crash Bandicoot, and this game runs on 1080p, full speed, and all settings set to high. What have we got? We go to Dead or Alive 6, another game that's quite demanding, and I'm going to be pushing this to the limit with 1080p, every setting to the highest setting, and this system has no problem whatsoever playing this particular game. Out of 5 runs fine on this, in combination with all settings set to high, very high depending on what we can put it on, but it's running perfectly without any problem or other craziness. So with the PlayStation 2 emulator I wanted to see to upscale it to 4K resolution, and that runs perfectly. The only weird thing is I'm having these lines throughout my screen that I can't really figure out to get away. But beside that, it seems to be running just fine when it comes to the overall FPS. And beside the lines, the image looks absolutely beautiful with the rendering resolution of 4K. Configuration of the i9, we have super fast loading times when loading up a game into the emulator, and that can tell you is very pleasant because it's something I've noticed and felt quite annoyed by with the lower power AMD and Intel chips.
The mechanical titan continued its siege, but a miserable pile of secrets.
So with God of War I've noticed that it did struggle a little bit when putting this on the highest setting, 10 times resolution, everything maxed out. But getting into the game further, didn't really notice any problem whatsoever. Also, God of War is very demanding, so even if this is a problem with different games, you can just have overall great performance. On my mark! Fire! I must... So where PlayStation Portable did struggle a little bit when it comes to the Dream emulator and Dreamcast, we can play this on the 4K resolution without any problem whatsoever. But getting into the Xbox 360, here I've noticed a lot of issues, and the games I tried were not really playable, to the point that the emulator even crashed. GameCube and Wii emulation also on the 4K resolution, and yeah, this was absolutely amazing when it comes to the overall experience. I had a lot of fun playing these old school games in higher resolutions. So in this case, for emulation, yeah, think about Xbox 360. We're not going to have enough power to run Xbox 360, but all the other ones seem to be running fine. So when you're doing a quick comparison with these two, so this is just fun for emulation and some, let's say, okay, older AAA gaming. But particular emulation, this thing is great. But if you want to have more Windows gaming, this particular model with the RTX2060 is absolutely great. And it has just some cool performance, but of course has some limitation, including for some limitations when it comes to the emulation.